Hi everyone, my name's Louise Edwards. I manage Surrey Outdoor Learning and Development, which is Surrey County Council's outdoor learning service. That consists of 3 outdoor residential day visit centres in and around Surrey, and we have a number of other projects that we look after as well. Our bread and butter work is with schools, which is what I'm going to talk about today. We have been doing and are starting to do lots of other work beyond schools, in particular our school holiday programme, which I'm not going to go into today because we've got a schools focus today. So the schools work is just one bit of an area that we've really been working on, trying to respond to the COVID crisis, really. I'm going to give a very short presentation. I'm going to chat to you about some of the things that we've been doing with schools that have been particularly successful. And I hope that some of that, bits of that might resonate with you. And I think probably the value of today is going to be about the questions that probably come out of some of the things that I'm talking about. I'm really mindful, without sounding too smug about it, that we are in a very, very fortunate position in terms of the support that we've had from our local authority, the team that we've got around us who've been amazing, and the relationship that we've got with lots of our schools already. So some of those really positive things were already in place and have definitely made what we've done much easier. So there are 4 key areas, pieces of work that we have been doing really as soon as lockdown kicked in. We were pretty quick to respond with a couple of these things, and a couple of new ones have come out a bit later on. So to start with, we responded with as much support for teachers in our local area and in the schools that we work with as possible, to help them and enable them to use their outdoor space as effectively as possible. And this was during the lockdown period in particular, where partially open schools were kind of quite keen to do anything that engaged those children. So we're very lucky. We already have very good networks of outdoor learning lead teachers in our county, and they're divided into hubs around our county. So that was already very positive. So we put in place, we pulled together lots and lots of free resources to help those teachers and help those schools use their outdoor space more effectively from the word go. We created a new page on our website that those teachers could access, that had links to every website we could think of, every free resource we could think of to help them do that. We put on a couple of special newsletters to all of our teachers, directing them to all of that support. We have a Facebook page for that network of teachers, and that was fantastic because those teachers that were teaching in partially open schools were sharing really great ideas about things that they were doing during lockdown. We had some fantastic photographs and ideas from what would have been outdoor classroom day, but some of those schools still managed to do an outdoor classroom day, albeit in a slightly different way. We sent out links to videos of practical sessions that they could be delivering. And we also designed and offered some CPD for schools that were very quickly wanting us to go in and show teachers how to do this. So that happened quite early on, and that's actually developed quite a lot now. We always have done CPD for teachers and for schools around using outdoor learning, but we designed something a bit more special and a bit more COVID related about using the outdoors in a socially distanced way, the sort of activities that they could use. So we did that very quickly, and actually going forwards into next term, we've seen quite a demand for that CPD. We've got a number of twilight and day training sessions booked in to help schools and teachers use their outdoor space more creatively. The irony of this is something that we've been doing and promoting for a long time, but it's just that COVID has been a real opportunity to ramp that up and see some real enthusiasm from schools and teachers to use their outdoor space. The other thing that we offered very quickly after lockdown and are continuing to deliver is an outreach service. So our team very quickly, again, we were always delivering outreach work where our team go into schools and deliver outdoor learning experiences in school grounds. We adapted that very quickly to be a COVID-friendly form of outreach. And we started by offering that again to the partially open schools when they only had perhaps 7 or 8 children in. But our team went in and delivered outdoor learning for those children. And that's continued. The demand for that's continued. Obviously, now we're working with bigger numbers. As the guidelines shift, we can introduce different types of activities that fit around new social distancing guidelines. But there has been quite a demand for us to go in and deliver outreach, outdoor learning in those school grounds. That can either be literally our team will rock up with everything and deliver to the children, but we've definitely had some interest from some schools where it's been a team teaching opportunity as well for us to work alongside those class teachers to enable them to do more of this themselves and give them a bit of confidence to do this on their own without us. Another big area of work for us that's emerged as a result of COVID has been alternative learning provision. So we've seen a huge demand in providing outdoor learning for those children and young people who were not in a mainstream school when this all happened, perhaps were in some kind of alternative learning provision, but were really not engaging with any kind of learning during lockdown. So we have been doing a lot of one-to-one work with some of those children and young people where they've been coming to our centres, and we've been delivering a programme of outdoor learning for them. That is, no two are the same, it's very bespoke. So that might be 1 afternoon a week, that might be 3 afternoons a week, that might be a whole term's worth of programme. It's designed around the needs of that young person, depending on their age and what they're interested in. But we are getting continual inquiries from our education team to do this, and that's definitely growing. And just this week, we've had a conversation about the fact that we think that's really going to stick in September onwards, where some of those children and young people are still going to struggle to engage with what their usual education would be. So we're expecting that to grow quite a lot as well. And then the fourth thing, which we didn't start early doors because we weren't allowed to, but is definitely a growing area, is around day visit to our centres. So this is a big one because currently we're not allowed to do overnight residential, which is what we would normally be doing at this time of year. So this term that's been out of the question. And we've had lots of schools, local schools, who've used our centres for day visits for particularly this term year 6 children who obviously have been massively disrupted over the last few months, and the schools have really wanted them to do something positive. Interestingly, we've had a number of parents of year 6 children who've been given the go-ahead by the school to organise this themselves. So we've actually, for the first time, been facilitating those day visits through a couple of parents who've been very enthusiastic about organising it and making it work, which has been really nice to see. Going forward to September, we were really optimistic that we would be getting back to overnight residential, and we had lots of our schools absolutely chomping at the bit for that. the DfE guidance that's just been released that says that's not okay has been pretty disappointing, but we're very optimistic that that might change yet. In the meantime, we are working with every school that was booked in with us in the autumn term around converting their residential experience perhaps to a day visit or some outreach. So our kind of strategy has been, let's try and do some outdoor learning with them however we can do it, even though that might be a bit different from what originally was hoped for. And that's just really about flying the flag for outdoor learning with those schools and sort of helping them to understand that actually right now the outdoors is the best place to be and it's the best place to learn. And that's what we're all about promoting, really. So from a school's perspective, we've focused our attention on those 4 key areas of work. So the teacher support, the school support, outreach, alternative learning programs, and day visit. I guess our key learns from that are that no 2 schools are the same in terms of their attitude towards doing this. So we have schools who can't even imagine how we could even be considering trying to do this, and have cancelled every off-site visit for the whole of the next academic year, right across the spectrum to schools who are like, this is absolutely amazing, it's really fantastic, we will work with you however we can to try and make this work, and everything in between. So we've very early on recognised that schools have very different attitudes towards doing it, and that we would have a very bespoke conversation with each individual school about what they might want and how we can make that work for them. So I think that's been really crucial, is having those conversations and keeping those relationships very positive and adaptable, basically. Another key learn has been to work with the school's own risk assessments and processes. So again, schools have different views around social distancing, they have different views around ratios that we can work with and what they're happy with and what they're not happy with. So again, we've taken time to make sure that anything that we put in place completely works alongside where that school is at and what their approach is. And I think the key thing here has been around doing everything we can to give schools confidence that this is a safe and okay thing to do. I have to say, for the most part, we haven't had to do that very much because schools themselves have really recognised that, which has been very positive. But we've definitely had conversations with schools where they've been, I like the idea of it, but I'm not sure how we can make it work. And then we have a really good conversation about the measures that we would put in place and how we would deliver it. And that gives them enough reassurance to go for it, basically. Another key positive for us has been that we have worked very closely with our Surrey County Council off-site visit advisor, who has endorsed everything that we have offered schools. And we have worked really closely with him. We have a good relationship with him around our risk assessments and our processes, and to the point where he feels confident enough to endorse this with schools as well, and say that he's completely happy with what we're doing. So that's been a really good confidence giver, I think, to schools too. So I guess those are our key learns. There's obviously lots of others, and there have been lots of challenges. But on the whole, we have been really chuffed with how this has gone and the response that we've had. And we've definitely worked on the premise that if a school's up for it, we'll do everything we can to try and deliver them something, because every school that uses outdoor learning during this time gives confidence to another school to do it as well. And that's that's very catching, which is something that we've seen. We've had lots of schools ring up and say, oh, I hear you've done this with a neighbouring school of ours. This is something that we would like to talk about as well. So that's really the overview of what we've been up to. And I'm sure there are a million questions underneath that, because I've made it sound very simple, and perhaps it hasn't been all the time. I definitely, there's no doubt that sometimes we've been pushing, I wouldn't say push the boundaries, because we've been very good around sticking to the boundaries, but we have definitely been in a climate of the easiest thing for schools to do is say no. And we haven't kind of really accepted that. We've kind of gone, well, actually, there is a way of doing this. Just if you're open to the conversation, we'd like to see if we can make it work. So, you know, we've worked quite hard at, and very proactively about, you know, giving confidence and selling the idea that this is actually a really cool thing to do. So I guess that's where I'm at in terms of an overview. I was just going to bring up, let me just see if I can bring up a couple of things. Bear with me a second.
That's been fantastic, and a really, really good and clear overview there, Louise. And we have had a few questions.
Cool.
One from Sue. DfE guidelines say they advise against schools attending visits on site unless they can walk there. So whilst I've been to your centre, and I know Surrey is not exactly the Brecon Beacons in terms of, you know, it's a bit more densely populated. It's not right in the heart of a, you know, throbbing town. How do you cope with, you know, how do students get to your site?
Sure. Again, we're very lucky because our centres are in the local communities, quite a lot of them. So the schools that have been visiting us for the day this term have had parents dropping off and picking up, or walking in, or using public transport. So that's how we've got around that, and that seems to have worked really well.
Right. Tom has asked about your CPD focus and outdoor curriculum linked activity ideas for a school and other creative off-curriculum activity, overcoming other barriers such as weather, how to develop their school grounds, etc. Do you have a particular focus, or do you do anything and everything?
So our CPD, so we've always delivered CPD for schools. So we deliver outdoor learning card training, we deliver orienteering training, we deliver consultation around helping schools to use their school grounds more creatively. So that's something that we've always done. I guess what's happened as a result of COVID, most of the requests have been about teachers seeing that actually teaching outdoors, certainly this term, has helped them increase capacity of how many children they can actually work with. So our CPD in response to COVID has been around activity ideas for delivering socially distanced learning in that outdoor space. Curriculum linked outdoor learning. So we've designed a number of lesson plan ideas and resources for curriculum linked teaching. So some schools are really focused on that. To be honest with you, lots of schools have just wanted their children to do something healthy and positive and engaging during this time. And they've been quite happy with that. So we have been able to give them some ideas about how they can do that, some activities that they can use for doing that. So it's very bespoke. We don't have one set package that we roll out. You know, every school's different in terms of what they might want from a bit of CPD. So we try and respond to that where we can.
Right. Another one from Tom, talking about your alternative learning. Has that been primary, secondary, or both?
Everything. So we've had a young lad, 7 years old, in for some alternative learning one-to-one, right up until 15 years old. So again, it's very bespoke. I think that's the name of the game at the moment, is you have to kind of be ready to to respond and be quite bespoke around what you do. So those alternative learning programs, where those young people are always referred to us by, could be an education officer, a Senko, whoever it is, and they will always give us an idea of what they think that young person would really benefit from, what they really need. Again, I have to say, for the most part, it's been focused on just doing something engaging and positive and healthy with those young people to get them out of the house and not doing anything at all. That's what their main focus has been. So it's been quite easy to deliver on that. We've got quite creative, you know, we've had some young people where what they've really wanted to do is get involved in our estates work. So it might be doing something around our sites, it might be building something. We've actually, over the last couple of months, just started a horticulture project at all of our centres. So we've got from scratch building beds and starting to grow fruit and veg. So that's been a new one for us, but that's been quite popular as well.
That's really interesting. So you're actually encompassing outdoor learning in all its forms, not just in kind of outdoor activity nature, but, you know, branching into every aspect of outdoor.
Absolutely. With the one-to-one work, it's about what floats their boat. You know, what are you? So, you know, we've got a young person who's just all about mountain biking. You know, so that's what we've focused on. But that's not for everybody. So we've just tried to, you know, steer it around whatever they might be interested and engaged by, really.
Okay, that's great. Mark has asked, as a sector and a bunch of outdoor education enthusiasts, there is a clear opportunity to really champion learning beyond the classroom. Is there a way we can use our collective voice to get youngsters outside the classroom? Can I answer that one? I say yes. Join the Council for Learning Outside the Classroom. We are a membership organisation and we represent the national voice for learning outside the classroom across all curriculum areas. So it's not just dedicated to outdoor learning, outdoor activity learning. It's across all forms of learning outside the classroom. So you can become a member, and the more members we have, the bigger voice we have, the more we can champion and get recognition by, you know, government. They'll start to listen to us, the more people we have behind us. If you are a provider, there's the CLOtC quality badge. Again, that shows that you're committed to learning outside the classroom. And if you're a school, there's the CLOtC mark, which helps you develop, evaluate and review your learning outside the classroom. So I'd say yes, please do join us, and we'd love to have more people with us. Anna has asked a slightly vulgar question today about money. Who pays for this? Who's paying for the CPD? Who's paying for the sessions? Or do you get funding from somewhere to deliver these?
So for us, during lockdown, like immediate lockdown after Easter, we were allowed to, by Surrey, to offer the outreach and the CPD service for free. So Surrey didn't shut us down. We didn't furlough any staff. We were still here, ready and raring to go. And so our give back, if you like, to that was to offer those things for free. After May half term, when schools opened more, we made the decision to continue offering it, but we were going to start charging for it. And we were actually not sure at the time whether or not that would still be a goer. But schools have been paying. Every school that we've delivered something to this part of the half term has paid for what we've delivered. And that rarely seems to have been an issue. From a CPD point of view, it's interesting because during lockdown, schools have not been spending money on CPD. So actually there is an opportunity here where there is budget for that kicking around. And that's certainly paying for the CPD that we're delivering into next term. So that's been a real positive. Certainly for some of our day visit work, that might have been where the school had already paid us a deposit for a residential, and we've converted the deposit to a day visit or a bit of outreach. So it's just using the money in a different way, really. but we have been charging for everything that we do since the post May half term, and we'll continue to do that for the rest of the academic year.
That's really helpful. So that is for teachers. See if there's any excess budget in your school, and see if you can use that, put that towards CPD. And for providers, talk to your schools and see if you can convert. I know, as Louise said, your residential can't happen, but look and see if there are ways to convert that booking and either to deliver in a slightly different way. So that's really helpful. Lydia has said that a school in Manchester with a great outdoor space, the enthusiastic teacher had been told that if she wasn't qualified in forest school technique, she can't use that space.
Oh, I might start ranting now. I've been really polite up until now, but I might get a bit ranty about that. The notion that you can only deliver outdoor learning in your school grounds without having some kind of qualification is absolute rubbish. So please don't think, I don't know who's told you that, but it's absolutely not true. Any teacher can deliver outdoor learning as long as there is good risk management and processes in place that would ultimately have to be signed off by the head teacher. And part of that might be that some training, they might have taken part in some training, but that certainly doesn't have to be, for example, a forest school practitioner course. There's all sorts of different ways of doing that out there. So no, that, as far as I'm concerned, that's absolutely not true.
Excellent. That's good to know. Diana has asked how the AP alternative provision is funded. Is that funded slightly differently?
Yeah, so I've been a bit surprised at this because I wasn't sure if there was money available to pay for the alternative learning, but absolutely there has been. I think that's come from a couple of different places. If you are linked to a local authority in any shape or form, your local authority would have been given some COVID money. The government gave COVID funding, additional COVID funding to every local authority. We've actually seen some of that money go to pay for some of the alternative learning that we've been delivering. I guess that hinges on how your local authority have used that money, but certainly we've seen that there has been a pot of that allocated for the most vulnerable young people, and a part of that has paid for the alternative learning programs that we've been putting in place, which has been great. But you know, and I'm talking about, you know, these are the more vulnerable young people. You know, there are budgets around to pay for things like this. I don't always know exactly where it comes from. It seems to vary quite a lot, but every alternative learning placement we've put on has been fully paid for, and that doesn't seem to have been an issue, to be honest with you.
And that's really, really helpful. Thank you. I have a question. You mentioned right at the start at your presentation of the things that you were doing. A few of them revolved around communication. You put links on your website, you had your newsletters, you did your Facebook page. Do you think it's the fact you kept in touch with your local schools and your customers? Do you think that has helped move them along the journey, that you've been able to work with them more closely?
Yeah, I think so. So something that that has been a real winner out of this is something that we've been working on for the last couple of years, nothing to do with COVID, and it's something that I would really recommend people do, is around the relationships and the networks that you can develop around outdoor teachers in schools who are interested in outdoor learning. So we have in Surrey, we've actually got that to a point where we have 4 outdoor learning hubs around our county that are dealt with geographically because it's a big county. And those outdoor learning hubs are full of outdoor learning interested or outdoor learning lead teachers in the schools in that area. So we had already set those up, prior to this happening. Each hub has around 30 teachers signed up to them in the 4 hubs, and they're hubs that we were using. So we were having a termly meeting with each hub, which was an outdoor learning meeting hosted by a different school to look at what they're doing, and we'd have a presentation from an outside speaker. So that's been really amazing, because they're people that we already have a good line of communication with and a good relationship with. So that's absolutely paid off massively during this period, because literally as soon as we were ready to offer, for example, the free outreach offer, I just put that out to the members of our 4 outdoor learning hubs, and we had an instant response from those guys saying, yes, we want that. That's brilliant. I think in the first week of putting that offer out, I had 40 requests from those schools saying, we'd love that. Yes, please. We also have what we call a Beyond the Classroom newsletter, which I think currently we have just over 300 subscribers to. And again, they're teachers who are interested in developing outdoor learning. So we'd already put out a twice termly newsletter for those guys with lots of ideas. So again, we had an instant audience there of people who were already, you know, quite confident and quite engaged. And this was just kind of a natural next step to talk to them. So we've been quite lucky in terms of having those in place already. And then on top of that, we've got obviously our existing customers. So again, they're relatively easy for us to communicate with. But on top of that, we did put our offer out through different channels through the county council. So Surrey were very responsive to helping us to put that offer out through different communication methods. We have a schools bulletin system in Surrey, which goes out to every school. We put some stuff in there, out on social media. So for us, it was definitely an opportunity to contact some schools and teachers who weren't already engaged with us. So we've definitely seen some new people join those groups as a result of this, which has been really nice, because that will hopefully stick, you know. And we've definitely got some new members of our hubs as a result of this, you know. So so that's been really positive.
That's great. One message. I mean, I'm the communications manager with Council for Learning Outside the Classroom. So it's always big on mine. Don't stop talking. Don't stop talking to people. Don't stop talking to your customers. Even if you think you've got nothing to say, don't stop talking to your schools. Schools, don't stop talking to your providers. That's where you get these really great relationships that Louise is talking about, and that's where, you know, you get on the inside track with any offers or new activities coming out. Mark has asked about, yes, the challenge is navigating the labyrinth of often conflicting guidance, yes, and the various agencies. Can CLOtC help with deciphering this? We can, but more importantly, the Outdoor Education Advisors Panel, we work very, very closely with the OEAP. They produce the national guidance. That is updated daily sometimes when there's new guidance is emerging. But that is regularly updated. That should be your first point of call if you've got any questions about, can I do, what do I need to do, what's the group size requirement, how can I take a class outside the classroom, or how do I work with a school, or what's the ruling on school trips off site. It's go to the national guidance, and that's online. It's freely available, so do have a look there. Your local outdoor education advisor is a brilliant point of contact. Each region has one, and of course you can come to us. As I said, we work very, very closely with the OEA, so if you're not sure where to go, come to us. We'll either point you in that right direction or give you the information ourselves.
I definitely feel your pain, because schools is just one area of our work. We run a weekend and school holiday program. We deliver NGB training courses. So at the last count, we're working off 7 different bits of guidance for every different element of what we do. Hospitality guidance for our overnight and catering bit, you know, so, and sometimes it is a bit conflicting, but what I would say is that guidance is just guidance. That is what it is. And I think some people have got a little bit hung up on, unless I'm explicitly told I can do this very specific thing, I can't do it. And we haven't had that attitude at all. We have looked at all the guidance that's out there and gone, okay, how does that apply to this particular thing that we want to do? And then you make a good, sensible decision about using it, basically. So so if you just take ratios, for example, there is different guidance around ratios, whether you're working with a family, because we've really just started to do a lot of family work over the summer, whether it's a group of children whose parents have booked them on, or whether it's a school group, all completely different in terms of the ratios that you can work with. I would just say, see the guidance as exactly that, use it as guidance, and out of that, you can make some really sensible, sound decisions about what is a reasonable way to deliver that work, I think.
Yeah, very good. Christine has asked, which is really good, is that kind of legacy. How do you keep the schools, if you do some piece of work with the school, how do you keep them using learning outside the classroom, outside of your visit, so it isn't just a one-off?
Yeah, so I think the key to that, and this is probably a really great opportunity for you guys if you haven't done this already, is we're going to get them signed up to our hubs and our teacher networks, which allows us to keep communicating with them, for as long as we can going forwards. So actually, if this pandemic has created an opportunity for you to start a small network, and it might be very small to start with, of interested, passionate, enthusiastic teachers, then use that opportunity to start that group and keep communicating with them and keep working with them. So we will certainly do that. Every single school we've delivered something to over this period, if they're a school that are completely new to us, we will have got them signed up somehow to our newsletter or to our hub, so that we can keep communicating with them and keep engaging them with what we're doing. And for some, that might be simply that they want to be able to do more themselves. And that's fine by me, because we're all about more outdoor learning happening. We don't care if that's us delivering it or someone else or them doing it themselves. It's all about making more outdoor learning happen. So if that means having a conversation with a teacher about how they can do that, and that's all it is, then that's fine. I've got 4 online meetings next week with 4 teachers who are completely new to us, from 4 schools that are completely new to us, who've said, oh, we want to use outdoor learning more going forwards, can you help us with that? And that's been a COVID triggered thing, I think.
Yeah, that was great to see that demand is coming through, and it's great to have, I say, you're not always talking to the same people, because sometimes we get in our bubbles, our own bubble, and you're just talking to the same. It's bringing new people in from outside these bubbles, so more children can learn outside the classroom. So Christine did ask, how do you find the teacher to join the hub? With your 4 new ones, where they come from?
I think just word of mouth. I think because over the last couple of years we have developed a bit of a reputation for offering that service. We're definitely benefiting from a bit of word of mouth. We were definitely inspired to set the hubs and the networks up as a result of an outdoor learning conference that we delivered 5 years ago now for teachers. So at that point, we didn't have this massive network going on. We just kind of had a go at putting on an outdoor learning conference that was completely aimed at primary school teachers, giving them ideas of practical lesson techniques and resources to deliver outdoor learning. And we weren't sure how it would go. I think at that first conference, we probably had 70 or 80 teachers rock up, which we were absolutely chuffed with. We've run one every year since then, and we were supposed to have one in April. And we had 120 teachers booked on for that. We're going to hopefully deliver that in the autumn. But once we'd done a couple of years of a conference, giving loads of practical ideas and resources, we decided that we wanted to communicate with them more than just every year at our conference. So that sparked us off to use them to start up the networks that we've got, and it's kind of just grown from there, really.
Right. There are a few more questions relating to hubs. How do you find out about them? And Louise has been talking about specific hubs that she's set up in Surrey. Craig mentioned that in Wales there's a network funded by National Resources Wales, which are in each area county. CLOtC, I know you're quite right, we did used to support regional hubs, which were, I believe, very much like the Surrey hub. They have kind of dwindled in recent years. There didn't seem to be demand, but hopefully now I think people are more used to communicating virtually now. Perhaps it is something that, you know, resource-wise we couldn't support, continue to support the hub in person, but perhaps we can look to reignite those. I think, you know, the model that Louise described is really working well in Surrey, and it's something which it seems to be, from what we're seeing here, demand that could be replicated across England and Wales. So yeah, we'll look at what we can do to reignite those. Yes, there's Forest School. If you're Forest School trained, they're a local network for you. And Amy's asking about your hub communications. Are they via social media? And do people use a work profile or your personal account? I mean, that's quite detailed. How do you communicate?
So our hubs, we meet our hubs once a term. So we have a twilight meeting with each hub group once a term. That's hosted by a different school in the hub, because the beauty of that is that part of the meeting is that those teachers get to see what that school's been doing, and we always get the host school to have a bit of a walk around and a bit of a talk about how they've been doing it. That seems to be an absolutely winning reason for them to come along. And we also, in those twilight meetings, have an outside person come in and give a short input. So, for example, we've had the education officer from RHS has come into all 4 of our hub meetings. Surrey Wildlife Trust have delivered inputs at our hub meetings. We've done a session on risk benefit at one of our hub meetings. So we have a termly hub meeting. We have our twice termly newsletter called Beyond the Classroom that goes out to everybody. And we have a Beyond the Classroom Facebook group. And the idea of the Facebook group is that's just a place where teachers share what they've been doing with each other. So we have some lovely photos and lesson plan ideas and things like that. And that just gets shared out amongst those guys. So, so those are the key ways. And then we have our annual conference, which most of those teachers in our hubs will attend. So yeah, that's how it tends to work.
Great. Well, that has been really comprehensive, Louise. And we've had Mark, ITC, happy to help out, set up a hub in the North East. That's great. I'll pick up with you later, Mark. And Louise is asking, trying to get climate awareness integrated into all sessions, as well as developing is that climate control? What does CC stand for? I'm not sure. A CC session. Sorry, climate crisis. Of course. Yeah. That's great. Well, I mean, you know, outdoor learning, it does encompass everything. I know many sessions do touch on the environmental impact of what we're doing and how we're living.
I can just see a question, Justine, from Tom. Does your LA local authority fund your hub meetings, or is it?
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, well, basically they do, because basically I run and organise those hub meetings, so there's no cost to the members of those hubs to be a part of it. And in fact, all of the organisations that have come and delivered at those hubs, they've done it completely for free. From a provider point of view, although there's no cost to that, the return that we get on that is massive, because they then become customers in terms of day visits or residential or outreach. They might book a place on our conference. So it's an investment basically in those people, and or we deliver a bit of CPD for them or whatever it is. So it's a no-brainer, absolutely no-brainer in terms of doing it.
Now that sounds great. Can I ask if there are providers who have been inspired by what Louise has done with her hub and would like to do something, replicate that in other areas of England? Please do get in touch with us, because this is something, as I mentioned, that we'd really like to restart again. So we'd love to work in partnership with other organisations and teachers. If you're interested in joining these hubs, again, get in touch and we'll see if we can put something together. Because it'd be brilliant if we, this has led to kind of this explosion of interest and people wanting to be more connected. That would be absolutely fantastic. Okay, yes, Gemma, you've mentioned Hampshire, that'd be lovely. So yeah, please do get in touch with either me at CLOtC or Emily, and we'll hopefully take it from there.
Can I just say, Justin, I just would really encourage people to go for it, honestly. There's a million reasons at the moment why this might be put in the too difficult box, but it really is very doable. Just get some good solid risk benefit in place. That's another thing, is that we were committed right from the word go to have a risk benefit approach to doing this. I heard way too much over the past couple of months about what the hazards are, and it kind of and it ends there. And I think there's an opportunity here for us to have a fantastic conversation about risk versus benefit, because we all know that the benefits of getting these children and young people doing something positive and healthy in the outdoors has never been more important in terms of their health and well-being. And my experience is that schools and teachers are really tuned into that as well. So having a balanced risk-benefit approach to anything that you're talking about and doing is really, really important. And there's such an opportunity to sort of showcase outdoor learning at the moment from that. There really are so many opportunities from this. It's been really difficult, it's been really challenging, but there really are lots of opportunities here. And we've been really chuffed with the response that we've had overall. You will get schools and teachers who look at you like you're absolutely crazy. That's fine. For every school that thinks we're mad, we've got 10 schools going, this is fabulous, we love it, let's try and find a way to do it. So I just really encourage everybody to go for it. And every single school that says, yes, let's give this a try, absolutely brilliant, because that will really give others confidence to go for it too.
That's brilliant. It is a bit doom and gloom. It can feel like that at times. It is a very, very, very challenging period. And it's fantastic to have you, Louise, to come on and just blow that away, breathe some life into it. Hopefully I've been inspired. And I'm just thinking, how much potential there is out there. Really hope that you have learned something from this. I've got lots of takeaways, which we will follow up on social media and we will share them. Hopefully you've learned something new that you're going to take away and put into practice. It'd be great if we can just start building the confidence back up in the sector and building the confidence for people, teachers, to take children outside the classroom. Okay. Yes, Emily is going to circulate a survey to find out how you felt about this and if there's anything else that you'd like to see. We do have another presentation tomorrow. No, sorry, Thursday. Thursday, I keep getting the day wrong. Thursday, 3 till 4 on Thursday, which is from 2 schools who are talking about how they viewed learning outside the classroom in their school grounds. So how they've taken on their CLOtC Mark Gold School, and they're sharing their experience about how they viewed it to support children, particularly through this last term, half term, really, where it has been very difficult indeed. So if you'd like to join in with that, we'd love to see you there. Do just register, and hopefully next week we will have another webinar which will be involving a provider and a head teacher talking about how they've worked together to utilise spaces in their local community. So this is a London school, so hadn't got any outdoor space itself really, and it's talking about how the provider came along and developed relationships in the local community so they could take their children outside, and they've done some really, really great work. So again, that will be next week. We'll be posting details on social media once we've got the time confirmed, which is waiting for that. And
can I just say, if anyone would like any more information, or if they want to have a chat, I'm really happy to do that. My email address is louise.edwards@surreycc.gov.uk. So if anyone wants to get in touch, I'm really happy to share what we've been doing or try and help in some way. That's absolutely no problem.
Great. Yeah, that's really kind of you, Louise. I think when one wins, we all win. And when one person's doing well, sharing that information across us all means that we all can do well with what we do. So thank you again, everyone, for attending. Thank you again, Louise, for giving such a brilliant presentation. We'll be following up with an email with more details and survey. We'd be really grateful if you can fill that in, because the only way we know what you want is when you tell us what you want. Yeah, so if you have any more questions, Louise has given her details. You can find lots of information on our website. As I've mentioned before, members of CLOtC can access a wealth of resources, support and guidance. And yeah, do follow us on social media to keep up to date with details of what's happening, and register for our next webinars. We'd love to have you there. Thank you very much indeed, everyone. And yeah, look forward to seeing you soon.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.